Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to another weekend preview. My name is Seamus Brady. I am your host for this one. I am joined by Matthew Hurley, also known as the Gaelic Statsman. Matthew, week one in the books last week. We have week two of the Allianz leagues and the Lidl leagues. Upcoming, fast approaching. Obviously, you've had a busy day yourself. You're going to be doing another pod on your channel at 8 or 8:10. And guys, make sure to check that one out as well. But Matthew, would you believe when you weren't around last week, someone referred to me and you in the comments when I was doing the episode with Kevin Kennedy as, he said, "Where's Matthew Hurley? You two are like salt and chips on a podcast." So, I mean, the compliments don't get much better than that, do they?
They don't know. Yeah, thanks for having me on again, Seamus. Yeah, and I'm having another guy on my podcast in a sec, Liam White. He might be in the chat. We'll have to see. Is he in the chat now tonight? But yeah, the more people we get around our commute, the better, I suppose. But that is a nice comment, you have to say. Yeah, I'm surprised.
I've had worse.
Oh, same. Yeah, geez. Remember the ones where oh no, stop talking about hurling. You don't have a clue. That one.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, geez, that was a pretty low blow. But look, interesting weekend, the first weekend of the Allianz leagues, and it was great. The Cork footballers won at least, because I actually went up to that game, first game in the press box and media box. So had that one ticked off. Good performance against Meath from the Cork team. But yeah, looking forward to this weekend. And I suppose, will there be as much talk about the new rules as there was in week one? We'll have to see. Then the hurling, you have the major talking point, and TG, as Ciara McCarthy said in the Southern Star podcast earlier today, TG Carr to the rescue. Is showing Cork and Limerick on the TG Carr player, and RTE putting out a statement and all that. But look, it is on now. It is on for fans. Crisis averted. Cork and Limerick is on. So yeah. Interesting week in that kind of regard, but for the football, the new rules have really taken over, and it'll be interesting to see what happens in week two in regards to this new age of Gaelic football, I suppose.
Yeah, no, 100%. I do think that there will still be a lot of talk about the new rules this weekend. Obviously, we got Dublin going up to play against Donegal in McCool Park. I think that will be where we might see a little bit of what Jim McGuinness potentially has in store for us in the upcoming year. But yeah, we will obviously jump into that Cork Limerick game being shown on TG Carr. But we'll start off with the Allianz Football League first. Division 1, Round 2. And we'll start with the game that is live on TG Carr Saturday evening at 7:30. Dublin make the trip up to face Donegal in Round 2. So after a good start against Mayo in Croke Park, obviously pulling out a 1 point win, should I say. Now travelling up to play against Donegal, who we have not seen yet with the new rules because their game against Kerry did not get played. What are you expecting from McGuinness, and then what are you expecting from this game?
A curveball, first of all, for McGuinness, because we didn't see it in week one, obviously, and maybe the cards are closer to the chest. I don't know what you see on Twitter now, and this is only rumours and Twitter speculation, but I think Mark Murphy for the Irish Examiner, he does a bit of commentary for Clubber and Kerry as well. And he was saying that how come the Donegal champions in junior level, Nate Patrick, were able to travel to Croke Park? How were the hurlers able to travel to Navan against Meath? How were the ladies footballers able to travel down to Ennis in the Lidl League? And the men's footballers weren't able to travel to Killarney. I'll just say leave that thought in there now, because you don't want to say anything. Exactly, yeah, but it was interesting that it was postponed. You could, before that comment from Bert, to be fair, you could have said it was the right decision. Storm 1 kind of took over and all that, or EO1 or whatever you call it. But yeah, when Bert mentioned that, it was like, does McGuinness seriously have something up his sleeve here for this game against Dublin? Because to be fair, Dublin were I thought they were impressive enough against Mayo in the first day out. And the most impressive thing about them was, number one, they scored all their scores from play, 117. And I had to double check with Aaron on his show on Monday night to check if that stat was actually correct. It was correct. An unbelievable stat, it's unreal. And they didn't get any 2-pointers either. And even more impressive from an individual player point of view, Sean Bugler got 7 points. No 2-pointers or anything like that, 7 points. And he's the Giants' top scorer from play across the 4 Allianz leagues at the moment. So he's really stepped up. Cluxton is going to come back in the next few weeks as well. You have good performances like Kevin Lahiff around the middle of the park for Dublin as well. Greg McEnany really impressed me against Mayo as well. Colin Baskell coming back to the team and did well for TU Dublin Sigurdsson Cup during the week. Look, there was positives for Dublin, I will say, against Mayo. Yes, it looked shaky at times, but considering the departures of the Dublin panel over the last over the off season, it was positive signs for that Dublin team. And as for Donegal, it's been all positives throughout the winter months, I suppose. But the main question is, from a Donegal point of view, number one, what McGuinness tactic will he have up his sleeve to counteract these new rules? And number two, and the big question of all, in my opinion, where is Michael Murphy going to play if he does play? Is he going to play full forward or is he going to play in goal?
I don't think he'll play in goal. I could live to regret those words, but I would be stunned if he plays in goal, because the one thing that we've seen, especially in the opening weekend with the new rules, is now the goalkeeper more or less has to be potentially the fittest player on the pitch, like to make those long busting runs up and down the field every once in a while. And to bring back Michael Murphy after 2 years away from the game and to throw him into goal and expect him to kind of play that role, I think would be very unrealistic. So either if Murphy does jump into goal, I think he won't attack anywhere near as much as Niall Morgan does or Rory Beggan does. And if he is not in goal, I could see him being in that full forward line, causing havoc with the long shots dropping in. For McGuinness, I think when you read McGuinness's book, the one thing that comes across is he never, ever wanted to let the Donegal players feel like they were being pushed around by anybody, by organisers, by opponents, by managers, by media. Like literally, if McGuinness felt that the players didn't want to do something, then it wasn't happening. And that was it. And there was one incident where I think the game before went to extra time and he basically said, well, the Donegal players aren't coming out until they're ready to go out, or it was something along them lines. But the one thing you got from it was he's not going to let them be pushed around. And that long journey to Kerry in the storm, I think maybe there was a little bit of that being played out, or maybe there was a very real reason why they couldn't go. We just don't know. I'm worried about this game, I have to say. And that's part of the reason why I was very relieved when we got the win in Croke Park against Mayo to kick us off, because I think this one is a very dangerous fixture. And to be honest, I've predicted a draw for this one, but if you were to push me to pick a winner, I probably would actually go for Donegal. I just think up in Ballybuffet, conditions are never nice up there. Jim McGuinness has, not shown his hand yet. Dublin have a little bit. As you said, they're without Fenton, McCarthy. Cluxton won't be back for this one. No McCaffrey, no Paul Mannion. I think Donegal might edge this one. What are you thinking?
Yeah, it's going to be a very, very tight game, I think. I think Donegal might edge it if there is a winner, but a draw is not among the realms of possibility either. I still think Dublin are going very, very well, but Ballybuffet, again, added to the fact that McGuinness is a tactical genius, Ballybuffet is a very, very tough place to go. Donegal did play the first league game at home last year in Ballybuffet, and I should know it was a tough day at the office for Cork. We got absolutely slaughtered up there. But
even the year where they went shocking, they beat Kerry up there first week.
Exactly, yeah. So they do very, very well, especially on the first game at home. So it's going to be a tough day for Dublin. Not that Dublin aren't playing well. I think they really played well against Mayo and maybe surprised a few people. The problem is that Donegal are just so good at home. They're so efficient, especially on the first day out. I know there was a time in Division 1 a couple of seasons ago under Paddy Carr where they got absolutely slaughtered by Mayo. But then again, that's a bit different. Like Mayo, Castlebar's pretty near enough to
that year, Donegal as well. They were so bad.
Yeah.
I think you cannot compare that Donegal team to this team. The thing that makes me worried about this one is, if you're watching UFC, for example, and it's like a striker versus a striker, like Mayo are, a decent enough stylistic matchup for Dublin in terms that Mayo are going to play pretty open, expansive football, and Mayo are going to go toe to toe and attack with Dublin. So that, first game in the league was a very winnable game for Dublin at Croke Park. This is like a striker against a wrestler. Donegal are going to come with something completely different. They're going to try and pick Dublin apart at where they feel that they can get at them. They're not just going to go score for score with them the way that Mayo and are quite happy to be honest. So I think a draw. But if I was to be pushed on a winner, I would probably lean towards Donegal. But if Dublin are to win this one, I'll be hugely impressed because of, as you said, the off-season departures, the lack of people like Fenton around the camp now, McCarthy around the camp, Mannion, Jack McCaffrey. Like, these players are once-in-a-generation players that we all were lucky enough to see at the same time. But if we can, make it 2 from 2, it's an unbelievable start to the league campaign. This one, the game that's caused a decent bit of controversy, I think you can fail to say, Armagh versus Tyrone, Saturday at 6 o'clock in the Athletic Grounds. This one is being shown by RTE. This game, I say RTE are praying that this game is a banger now, because if this one is a stalemate, low scoring, boring game, like if it's even similar to the Galway Armagh game last week, the howls of complaints will probably flood in.
The thing is, I don't think Armagh, Tyrone players, officials, fans won't give a jot. They won't. It is a simple. They won't simply. Like Armagh didn't. Well, Tyrone, to be fair, I think Tyrone are a team that have embraced the new rules. They've done brilliantly so far. They didn't do what that'll be another interesting kind of aspect. Will they bring the Errigal lads back this week? Probably not, given the amount of effort that the Errigal lads went in 2 weeks ago in the club final. But if they were to come back this week, I think Tyrone will be strong favourites for this one because of maybe the stuff going on behind the scenes in Armagh. And Armagh fans were complaining about the new rules, and McGeady, yes, I absolutely sympathise with him. The fact that the rule book was not given to him, simple as, I feel bad for him in that kind of light. But you have to admit, Seamus, as well, it looked like in the Galway game, Armagh didn't embrace the new rules enough.
No, they scored 9 points. Like, I get that the conditions were bad, and I get that the pitch didn't look in good nick at all, but 9 points when Roscommon are racking up 321, and the conditions weren't exactly ideal in that game against Down either. Down hit 120 and lost. Yeah,
exactly. Like, you could think of many examples up and down the weekend. Cavan got absolutely hockeyed, and they still scored 20 points.
Yeah,
Meath lost against Cork, and they still scored 21 points. Cork, who were seen as a team that were passing around and maybe playing within their shell in the championship last year, they opened up and still embracing the new rules and scored 219. So it's no excuse from an Armagh point of view, and Derry, which we'll talk about in a sec as well. No excuse for these teams. Armagh need to, go for it some stages. And the stuff that went on behind the scenes with Rian O'Neill, the tweet from Colin Parkinson, which has since been deleted, and it's up on the Gaelic Corners page as well if you haven't checked it out already. That's a bad sign. Like, Colin Parkinson did tweet the quote Ciara McGeady gave to the media, and Colin actually said afterwards, the truth of it is Rian O'Neill has left the Armagh panel, but he instantly took down the tweet. So, I mean, this is getting tasty, but Oisin McConville actually said on the GA social during the week that Rian is going to come back in. So it's kind of a situation where we don't know the ins and outs, because one person saying one thing, another saying another thing, and look, that just leads to confusion. But I'll be pretty safe to say I don't think Rian is going to play this weekend. So for that reason, I think Tyrone will edge. I just feel like it's a happier camp at the moment, which we wouldn't have said about Tyrone last year. Malik O'Rourke has brought in a stability into this team, even without the Canavans in there, even without Peter Hart in there. Michael McCornan was brilliant the last year. I thought Niall Devlin was really leading from the front, from defence as well. I thought Darren McCurry was really good the last day and found a bit of form, the form that he showed obviously in 2021 when Tyrone won the All-Irelands. And yeah, I think Tyrone are in a good light at the moment. And Noel Morgan is another guy that seems to be embracing the new rules, really. So, yeah, I think Tyrone are going to win this game. But I think I'll echo your points on the game being shown. RT will be hoping this game is a banger. Anything less, it's a failure. It's simple as.
Yeah, and like, look, I do empathize in terms of, like, sometimes these things can happen and, wires can get crossed. The main thing is that it's being shown. Like, I wouldn't care where it's being shown. I wouldn't care if Clubber somehow got it. I I'd watch it on Clubber, I'd watch it on a YouTube stream, I'd watch it on a player, I'd watch it on whatever channel, I'd watch it on RT News now. Like, wherever you have this game, people will watch it. You don't need to sell it, it sells itself. You just need to let people know what time, what channel, they'll watch it. And so very, very luckily, we are going to be able to watch this game. Me personally, Armagh Tyrone, I think it will be a tight game. I don't think that there will be a massive, tip in the favour of Tyrone, but I do think Tyrone will win. As you said, I think they're a little bit more stable in the camp right now. As you said, like the rumours about Rian O'Neill, like it's not great, I'd say, for the harmony of the camp, and especially how flat they were in round one against Galway, and Tyrone looked very composed against Derry. I can see Tyrone shading this one by about 2 points and making it 2 wins from 2. Acer says here, Clare versus Kilkenny game was a banger of the game. It certainly was. There were some brilliant scores in that one. Mossy Keown's one was probably my favourite, just the strength, the power and the finish. And we will be getting to their game against Galway later on. This game is also on TG Car, Mayo against Galway, Sunday at 2:30. It's in McHale Park. So Mayo off to a bad start, losing to Dublin, but they were decent in that game. And funny with the Ryan O'Donoghue 2-pointer at the end, obviously could have been a different result. Galway, on the other hand, a little tiny bit of redemption for the All-Ireland final last year, beating Armagh in Salt Hill. What are you fancying in this one?
Well, the looks of last week's results anyway, I would have said a draw before the league began, but having seen Galway against Armagh and having heard about them in challenge games, I think Galway are in a serious fettle at the moment. Paul Conroy seems to be going well. Killian O'Correen is knocking over points as well. Yes, they're without Damien Comer, Rob Finnerty as of now, but like they seem really, really good. Shane Walsh as well kicked a 2-pointer. Yeah, and they have some excellent players all over the pitch. Matthew Tierney as well, scoring 1-1. Albeit one was a penalty, I think one was a free as well. They're going really well at the moment, Galway. Conor Gleeson seems to be going well at goal, and Paul Joyce seems to be building a team that is suited to these new rules, and I think that's the main thing from a Galway point of view. And I think this is actually a game that has the makings of a banger, because both teams embrace the new rules. Mayo got a 2-pointer themselves off Fergal Boland as well last week against Dublin, even though there were some teething problems within the Mayo team, but like that was always to be expected with the loss of the panel that were there in Mayo. But what Mayo need now for the league, not necessarily for this game, but for the rest of the league, I think they need to find other scorers other than Fergal Boland and Ryan O'Donoghue. They need them. The left footer. They need them. Yeah, they need them fast, and there's no doubt about it, because like when you looked at it between last year and the first game against Dublin this year, it's been them two really. O'Donoghue was the top scorer overall in the championship last year, even when Mayo went out in the prelims. Fergal Boland has been brilliant for play, but you couldn't really name any other Mayo player that's really stepped up. I'd be looking towards Tommy Conroy. I know it's a lot of pressure on him, but he was in electric form. I look back at stats and everything like that. He was in electric form in 2021 around that time. He was the top scorer from play and everything in the championship. He was in the top 5 anyway, if not top. And his form has seemed to be dipped, really. He scored a goal against Cork, I think, in the 2023 All-Ireland group stages, but he hasn't really raised the Mayo profile, his Mayo profile since, really, which is disappointing, because he is a speedy player. He's a really technically gifted player, but he just hasn't had that big moments over the last few years, which is disappointing for him. And hopefully he does step up in the next few weeks. Conor Reid scored a goal against Dublin. That will boost his confidence, I'd imagine. But to be honest, I think both sides will play a good game of football, but I feel like Galway are in a better situation than Mayo right now, so I'd have to tip it to the tribesmen.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I think Galway definitely defensively look solid as hell, and I think they'll probably edge this one. Echoing your point there, like the Mayo forwards, Tommy Conroy for me is another one to the list of James Carr, Aidan Orme, Darren McHale, like players that if you watch them in spurts, you're like, God, this guy looks like he could be amazing. And through one thing or another, they can't seem to be as consistent as Ryan O'Donoghue, for example. And like, I do empathize a lot with Tommy Conroy. He got that awful injury a couple of years ago, playing Sigerson Cup, I think it was. And that was when the debate came around about players playing too many games, which ultimately led to, players not being allowed to play under 20 and senior and everything like that, which at the time I fully backed and still do. Is I think you have to be careful about flogging players. We have a couple of comments in here from Acer. He says, I'll be watching Kilkenny versus Galway instead of Mayo versus Galway. This is a good time to say as well that game is live on the TG Car player at 1:45 and then deferred at 4:30 on the actual TG Car channel. Then Acer says, Antrim were very poor against Dublin on Saturday night in Croke Park. Davy Fitzgerald under huge pressure this season already. One game in. I mean, Acers, would you not have Davy for the rest of the season if they are to lose this next game? I'd be very interested to find out your opinion on this. And then if you are an Antrim fan, how long would you be willing to give Davy in the current position that he is in as Antrim boss? Me personally, I'm going to go with a Galway win, but just echoing what I said about the forward, if you look at the top teams in the country right now, man, and especially you look at even in the past 5 years, let's take Kerry, for example. Probably one of the best forward lines in the country. Actually, not probably, definitely one of the best forward lines in the country. They have David Clifford kicking with the left, Seanie O'Shea kicking with the right. You look at Galway, they've got Shane Walsh kicking with the right, Rob Finnerty kicking with the left. You look at Armagh, they got Rian O'Neill kicking with the right, Rory Grugan kicking with the left. You look at Dublin over the last few years, Paul Mannion kicking with the left, Con O'Callaghan kicking with the right. Like, my point is you need threats from all angles, and most of Mayo's best forwards are right-footed. They badly need Aidan Norman's left-footed. They badly need someone that can kick the way Paul Mannion did for Dublin, and I think that would be a massive plus for them if they were able to find someone like that. One more comment in. Acer says, I am a Kilkenny fan. So on that note, how did you find the first week against Clare? Obviously, a good start, beating the All-Ireland champions in Cusack Park in Ennis. We're going to move on to the final game, Division 1 then, Derry versus Kerry, Sunday at 12:30 from Celtic Park, live on TG Car as well. So that's the first game of the day in the triple showing, obviously with the deferred coverage of the Kilkenny versus Galway hurling match. Derry and Kerry. Derry obviously had a very flat start, apart from the Conor Glass wonder goal. Kerry were yet to see them. What are you expecting?
Hard to know, really. Derry are in a pretty difficult situation, I would say. You look at Conor Glass has performed really, really well in the last few weeks, to be fair. But yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is about Derry. They just didn't embrace the new rules. They've only won one game outright since the start of April, which is not a good sign. Paddy Talley, not a good start for him as manager. And people may say the new rules have probably emphasised the hammerings and things like that on the scoreline, and they've thrown them out of proportion and things like that. But when you look at it, actually look into the game against Tyrone, it was 1 2-pointer each. So in all money, Tyrone would have still beat them by 7 points. So I don't think you could have much more complaints as a Derry fan there. As for Kerry, look, I think Kerry do have some very, very good forwards. There's no doubt about it. Among the likes of David Clifford, Paddy Clifford, all them. But there are rumours. I don't know, is David Clifford going to be rested for this game? I really don't know. He was going to be rested for the game against Donegal until it was pulled, obviously. Sean O'Shea was playing. Paddy Clifford was going to play as well. We have to see about the Kerry lineup, but one game actually, I maybe going off kilter of the game, but Micheál Burns is actually training with the Kerry panel now. That's a big boost because he performed really well for Dr. Crokes in the club championship, and he will add something to that Kerry forward line, in my opinion. It's a tough one to call. I feel like the only way Derry can win this game is if they could get their fans behind them and make Celtic Park a fortress somehow. But judging by Derry's form at the moment, I can't see anything other than a Kerry win at this present moment in time. So I feel like Kerry will get the job done. But yeah, Derry need to make Celtic Park a fortress to have any chance of this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think it's a close game to call at all. I think Kerry will win. I looked at kind of their flat start against Tyrone, didn't really surprise me at all. Like, from an outsider looking in, obviously as someone who doesn't know what's going on in the camp exactly, But from the outside looking in, the impression that you get is that it's not organized at all. And like how long they took to appoint Tally, how much power does he have? Like, is he the boss, or are the coaches kind of having a big say as well? Like, you just don't know. You just don't know. And they made a flat start against Tyrone, and yeah, I just expect Kerry to go up there and get a win by about 4 points. Given that we have to get this episode into an hour, what we're going to do is move a little bit quicker now. So I'm just going to ask straight up for your prediction. So the Allianz Football League Division 2 Round 2, Down versus Cork. Sunday 1 p.m. Park Esler in Newry. Down or Cork? Draw. Interesting. I have to ask.
I would have said Down before the league campaign, but to be honest, there is finally a bit of positivity in the Cork camp at the moment. The players will be bouncing into training, obviously, after the win against Meath. It was a difficult defeat for Down to take against Roscommon, but they showed some great signs. I honestly can't split the two sides because Cork are going in with a bit more confidence than I thought they would. So I'd probably go for a draw, but it's going to be very, very tight.
I'll narrowly go for a Down win. I was very impressed with them, but I was very impressed with Cork as well. I think this will just be a very tough away day, and I could see Down with home comforts maybe being able to get over the line. Aces here says, good to see Derek Ling is using under 20 and minors in the team for the league campaign. Yep, that definitely is a good sign. Also, Fionn Mackesy, Aces, what do you think of his debut in the Kilkenny team, and do you think he'll have a big impact on the Kilkenny team going forward? Next game, feel like this one is straightforward enough. Monaghan, who were absolutely exceptional against Cavan, 222 they put up on the board. They're at home to Westmeath, who lost the opening day to Louth at home, and they're without Heslin, they're without Ronan O'Toole and Desi Dolan, obviously recently departed. Dermot McCabe, it's a huge task ahead of him. I see nothing other than a Monaghan win here, my friend. What do you think?
Exactly. Couldn't have said it better myself, Seamus. Monaghan to win this easy enough, and I expect it to be honest, 10 points plus.
Just one more thing on Monaghan. Obviously, last day out, David Garland obviously hitting 1-5. He's been someone that has been tipped for a long time to make a big impact on the Monaghan team. And first game really in the post Conor McManus era, he racks up 1-5 against their probably most fierce rivals in Cavan. That's a good omen.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it is definitely, no doubt about it. I think David Garland is an exceptional young talent. He's done so well in Sigerson Cup over the last few years, and you're right. Like, we've been expecting him to light up in the last few seasons, and he did against Cavan, to be fair. Barry McBennett's another player that's really stepped up for Monaghan over the last few weeks in general, and he did so at the end of the championship as well last season. Monaghan, I think they'll find new players in this, but it's hard to read into the Cavan game because I think Cavan will be in trouble in terms of relegation this year. So it's hard enough to read into that. And to be honest, I think it'll be hard enough to read into them this weekend too, because I think Westmeath are in serious bother. But yeah, I think Monaghan, they are in a good place at the moment. But the first acid test, I don't know who they actually play in match day 3, but I think bigger tests are definitely going to be on the horizon.
Yeah, I agree. I think Monaghan make it 2 from 2. Next game is Meath against Cavan, Sunday at 2:00 in Port Talton. This one, difficult to call. Meath or Cavan?
Well, I will say it is a crucial game for both sides, in my opinion. Who will win? I think Meath at home, and the fact they actually showed some good signs against Cork. They really did. They were taking shots on. They were embracing the new rules. Some things didn't come off, but they will come off eventually. And Robbie Brennan really spoke well as well in the press conference that he's had as well. So yeah, I think Meath will win this game. To be honest, Seamus, I said this at the start of the league campaign, I'll say it again. I think Cavan are a massive bother. Until Paddy Lynch comes back, I think they're a massive bother. So I'm going to go Meath to win this game. But I think the losers of this game, considering both lost in the first round, are in trouble with relegation. And I think Meath will nick it just about to win this game.
Yeah, I'm happy to go with Meath as well. I think registering 21 points against Cork, sorry. And when Kevin Kennedy was on last weekend, he was talking about the amount of shots that Meath were taking on and how that bodes well for the future. And I think I just look at this and think, yeah, I'm confident that Meath will be able to get the job done at home. Next game is Louth against Roscommon. This is Louth's toughest test. Roscommon are the masters at getting out of Division 2, usually on the first attempt as well. Roscommon, for me, will probably shade this one, but I have said and I have predicted that I think Louth will actually go up this season, and a good win against Westmeath on the road to kick off their campaign in what could have been a tricky fixture for them. It's Roscommon at home. It's the toughest test they'll have. I think that they won't pass this one. I think Roscommon will shade it by about 2 or 3 points. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Roscommon will win this game as well. I think it'll be tight, given that it is in Louth's. Well, it's a draw at this time around. It's not an RD, so
is
maybe
this
a bit of
Roscommon's biggest test as well? Sorry, just to throw that one extra in.
I don't think so, Seamus. I think the biggest test for Roscommon, considering the history and things like that, will be Cork and Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Okay.
I think that'll be the biggest test. And I think as well, like I said on many podcasts in the past few weeks, that Louth would have a problem with the new rules. And Joe Brennan seemed to be pretty negative about the new rules in the press conference recently after the Westmeath game as well. So maybe a bit of signs that Louth will struggle under the new rules. But in general, I think Louth will really put it up to Roscommon at this one, but I think Roscommon will just shade it.
Yeah, no, I think Roscommon will probably shade this one as well, bringing us on nicely to Division 3's round 2. So starting off with what I think is probably the most consequential game out of the bunch, Sligo against Kildare, Sunday at 2 p.m. in Markievicz Park. Sligo had a flat start, losing to Offaly. Kildare had a flying start, beating Fermanagh out the gate at St. Conleth's Park in Newbridge. On paper, it's a very, very difficult test for Kildare away in Markievicz Park, but given how much they passed with flying colours against Fermanagh on day one, can they pass this one too?
At the start of the league campaign, I was pretty unsure about it, but having seen Kildare's results against Fermanagh and the fact they absolutely wiped them, from the minute go they wiped them, I feel like Kildare will win this game as well, which is kind of sad because Sligo have such potential to go up from Division 3. I think if they lose this game, it's going to be a massive kick to the teeth for them. I still have belief in Sligo. I really have some belief in this Sligo side under Tony McAtee. I'm going to go a draw, but again, it's tentative.
I'll probably go Kildare by 1. Kildare by 1 or 2. I think Kildare probably, in my opinion, will win all their games now. I've kind of said that if they're serious about wanting to get back to the levels that they should be at, they should be winning every game in this division if they want to be competing up there with the big boys like Dublin and Kerry, and which is what we expect from Kildare, having grown up watching the Kieran McGeeney team, go toe-to-toe with the best teams in the country. So I think Kildare will shade this one and go 2 from 2. This one will be tasty. Laois against Offaly in O'Moore Park, obviously a very local rivalry. Offaly off to a great start. We haven't seen Laois yet because the game against Leitrim was postponed, but I still think Offaly will walk out of O'Moore Park with the win. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Offaly will as well. And what Offaly needed was a good win to start the league campaign, and they got it under Mickey Hart and Declan Kelly. Very important to mention both of them. But yeah, I think Offaly, they look really, really good at the moment. That result against Sligo, especially their second half performance, the former Keith O'Neill, who scored 6 points the last day, 5 from play, I feel like Offaly will win this game. And the fact that Laois lost a lot of players in the off-season, Offaly will win this derby.
Yes, I agree. And Keith O'Neill, by the way, while you mention him, he is a player. He is absolutely sensational. I remember watching him in the Leinster Leinster semi-final, against Dublin. And my God, he was kicking some scores that really delighted the crowd. Even though, Dublin were winning the game handy, he was a real, bit of chink of light type thing in what was a pretty dull game, as usually is in the Leinster Championship over the last few years. Fermanagh against Antrim, Sunday at 2:30 in Derry. Even though Antrim got off the mark with a win, and even though Fermanagh started flat, I still think Donnelly's a shrewd operator. Fermanagh still... But then again, they have the tendency to shoot themselves in the foot, as we've seen with the Tailteann Cup. I'm going to go Fermanagh by 2 points. What are you thinking?
Fermanagh's record against Antrim isn't that good, actually, when you looked at it. So, could we have a shock? I've seen predictions now after match day 1. People tipping Fermanagh to go down from Division 3. That's how serious it is. I think if they lose this game, they're in serious bother for Armagh. Which is why I think Donnelly's team have to win it. They have to win it. They're at home. They're a better team than Antrim. Let's call a spade a spade. They have better players 15v15. Fermanagh have to win this game. If they don't win this game, I think it's seriously a worrying thing for the Outsiders. It would be a massive win for Antrim if they do, but Fermanagh should do it.
Yeah, I agree. Now, final game of Division 3. I think this one again is fairly straightforward. Even though Clare had a hiccup on the opening day, I would expect them to beat Leitrim at Cusack Park in Ennis. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't think much needs to be said about this game. Leitrim, tough off-season for them. Clare, tough opening game, but yeah, they should win this game. If they lose this game or even draw it, I think Peter Keane, I know it's only 2 games in after this one, but he could be under pressure if they manage to drop points at this one, because this is almost at home to Leitrim. It's almost a gimme.
I do think he has to bounce back this time, because like I tipped Clare to go up. The experience that's in that team, I was backing them, and if they don't get the win, I'm gonna hugely regret that decision. Allianz Football League Division 4 round 2. I'm just going to go with the most consequential game and then get a word on the other fixtures. The most consequential game, I think, by far is this one. Limerick against Wexford, Sunday at 2 in Rathkeale. I think you're looking here at two of the 4 anyway, obvious promotion candidates in Longford and Wicklow are the other 2. If Limerick are to win, gives them a massive boost up on Wexford, and same vice versa. And given Wexford already started with a win for them, especially away in Limerick, could actually give them a turbo boost towards promotion.
Yeah, I tip Limerick to get promoted over Wexford. I'm going to stick to that. I think Limerick will win this game. They're at home. Home comforts obviously for them. They did a lot of good things in the Longford game. They were just pipped at the last minute to a draw by 2 points for Matthew Kerry. So what a player he is, by the way. Wexford had a very good opening against London, but I think Limerick at home, they need to start getting wins on the board if they are serious to getting back to Division 3, where they belong really. And I think Limerick will win this game.
Yes, I agree. I think Limerick are going to go up. I predicted it at the start, and I kind of have to stay true to that prediction, don't I? Now, the other games in Division 4 round 2, we'll get a word on these. Waterford, Carlow. I'm going to go with Carlow.
I'm going Waterford.
Tipperary, Longford. I'm going with Longford.
Yeah, agree. Longford.
And London, Wicklow and Ruislip. I'm going with a Wicklow win.
Wicklow, yeah.
Very good. Okay, so that concludes our men's football preview for the weekend. And we're going to move on then to the Allianz Hurling League Division 1A round 2. And strap in for this one. Cork and Limerick, Saturday, 7:30, Páirc Uí Chaoimh. It is live on the TG Car player and app. This game, the fact that we're talking about a league game where it's in such demand, like the tickets are flying out the door. People are buzzing for this one. It speaks to it speaks to the level of just how good the games were last year between Cork and Limerick and what people are expecting when these two sides meet. And thank God it's available to watch on the TG Car player.
Yeah, TG Car, our saviours. Thank you for that, TG Car. But this game, tickets the north stand and the south stand, which is the seating areas in Páirc Uí Chaoimh, are all sold out for this game. Apparently, that's what I'm hearing.
League game,
this is crazy. The terraces are going to be open for this one. Yeah. I never heard that. It's unreal. It really is. I think the only example of terraces being open was a league final between Cork and Waterford a few years ago. Genuinely. But not to sound biased, shame. Well, I am biased saying this, but Cork bring colour to the Hurling Championship and the Hurling League, hurling in general. Yeah, when Cork are going well, the tickets fly out. I've
seen it with my own 2 eyes last year, man. I remember I was down covering a game, Kerry and Monaghan, down in Fitzgerald Stadium, and on my way back up, I got caught up in all the Cork fans driving to Thurles to see the game against Tipperary, and the queues for the toll on that motorway were just ridiculous. And then out of every car, there was a red flag hanging out, a red jersey. Like I agree. The colour that they brought to last year's championship was off the scale. The scenes at the end of the Munster Championship game against Limerick, Croke Park being completely sold out for the All-Ireland semi-final, the way they packed out Thurles. Like, the Cork fans are right up there and have to be considered for best fan base in the country. Like they do. I still think pound for pound, I think you have to look at Mayo and give them serious credit. Donegal, I think, always travel well. Wexford always travel well. Armagh definitely travel well. Like, there's a lot of good
Wexford, to be fair.
Wexford are, I remember the 2019 semi-final against Tip. They absolutely, came on mass to Drumcondra for that game. So I love to see it. And what does it say as well? What does it say about Cork hurling and Limerick hurling that we have a league game in round 2 where the tickets are this much in demand and there's so much buzz when it's announced that it will be available to watch?
Yeah, I feel like, and games on, there's Premier League games on, of course, Ireland, England, and the rugby, the Six Nations is on as well, which makes it even more like this game. I think if it was clashing, as Kevin O'Donovan said off the ball earlier today, if Cork and Limerick was clashing with the World Cup final in soccer, say France and Croatia or something like that, Cork and Limerick would have the most eyes to this game, which tells you all you need to know about the hype around this tie. And I think it's been increased. It wouldn't have anyway, because the Cork fans are so good in any case, but this has increased the fact that Cork beat Limerick in the championship not once but twice. And the thing is, I think Limerick will be hurting. They will be hurting, and they'll be right back in there as well. Be very interesting to see, not just from a Cork Limerick kind of rivalry point of view and all that as well. I think it'll be very interesting to see who starts in goal for Limerick. I'm hearing rumours it's Jason Gallan that's going to get the nod for Limerick in goal, and Shane Dowling's going to be on the bench. We'll have to see what happens on Saturday evening. But yeah, I'd be interested with Limerick. Their defence might be changed and stuff like that as well. Like I've seen some articles and things like that. Once Kilkenny lost the 5 in a row, there was a few tweaks made by Brian Cody, and they've ended up winning the All-Ireland in 2011 after that. What will be John Coyley's team, and what will be his team leading up to the championship? It'll be very, very interesting to see. So I've never seen, as you said, Seamus, I think the last league game where there was genuine hype, I can't really remember. I think at a push, maybe Cork and Waterford in the league final in 22. I think probably. This game, like it's just, it sells itself. Like when you consider last year in the league, Tip and Limerick were playing at Parky Keith because Semple Stadium was under renovation, the pitch was under renovation, and it was nearly empty. Parky Keith last year for Limerick and Tipperary. 2 Munster counties, the same thing. But like this is full now. It's going to be packed to the rafters. I honestly can't wait. Like, it's unfortunate I can't go to this game because I'm actually going to the Cork and Down game, and we need to make road to go up to Newry. If I could go to I probably would. I'm glad it's now shown on the TG4 player. But this game, my God, it's got all the makings of a fantastic game. And as well as that, Cork, what new players do they have up their sleeve? Power scored 1-4 from play last game against Wexford. Was really, really impressive. Brian Hayes was really, really good as well. That was without Hoggy in the starting 15. Dickie Dalton, will his red card get rescinded? To be honest, by hearing the stuff on League Sunday, I don't think he'll get rescinded, which is not a bad thing. That maybe his other players need to step up. Maybe like if Robbie O'Flynn comes into the panel or something like that. Shane Barrs, excuse me, if Seamus Harney needs to step up and things like that as well. So be very interesting to see from both sides on Cork and Limerick and what their attitude is to this game as well.
Yeah, certainly. Acers here says Cork looked like an angry bull against Wexford. And like, just for this game, my final words on it, I just think I love this rivalry. Like, I absolutely adore this rivalry between Cork and Limerick. I love this rivalry between Cork and Limerick. Like, they just have non-stop epics, like the Munster Championship game last year, the All-Ireland semi-final, even results like Limerick, their amazing All-Ireland final performance in 2021, that you would imagine riled up Cork to build their team to beat Limerick. And just the fans, the way that it all comes together, it's just box office every time they play against each other. And as you said, it doesn't matter what this is clashing with. There's always going to be a ton of eyeballs on this one, and thank God it's available to watch. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? And like the one team that Limerick are always compared to is the Kilkenny team. And as you said, Tipperary emerged as their equals. And then when Tipperary finally beat them in 2010, what happened? Kilkenny struck back in 2011 and reclaimed the All-Ireland title. Are Limerick going to do that in 2025? Only time will tell, but it is going to be sensational to watch. And there seems to be a serious momentum behind Cork hurling. Like when you're talking about how many people are tuning into this game, the way that they're buying the tickets, the way that the Limerick fans as well are buying the tickets, like they're not done now just because they got knocked off their perch. Like they are hungry to get back on top. And that's why 2025 is going to be amazing. I can't wait to see them go head to head. That's why I titled it Cork versus Limerick round 1. I think we're going to see these teams against each other a lot this season. But for this game, I'm going to go with a narrow Cork win. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'd agree as well. I think home advantage might suit Cork in this game. But then again, yes, the tickets are nearly sold out, and yes, there's relief. It's on TG Car Player. But in the grand scheme of things, Seamus, does it really matter compared to a Munster Championship game, a Munster final, or an All-Ireland semi-final? I don't think any of the Cork...
It doesn't, but I just think these teams are like they're such rivals that it doesn't matter. Like, you know, when Kilkenny Tip used to play league games and you'd swear it was an All-Ireland final. Like, I just think I can see this going like that.
Yeah, it's
like Dublin Kerry in the football last year in the league. When Dublin hammered them, like it didn't feel like just a league game to Kerry. It felt like a knockout blow. Like on the night, it was like, Jesus, Dublin are so much better than you, even though it's the league and no one cares about the league. But it's like, no, people cared that night.
Yeah, so neither side, I think, coming out of this game by 9 o'clock or 9:30 on Saturday evening, no side wants to get hammered in this game. If it's close, we'll bout again and we'll go over round 2 in the Munster Championship or potentially a league final. We'll have to see. I feel like Cork will just edge it. I don't think either side will hammer anybody. I'd be shocked if there's a 10-point margin or something like that between these two sides, because there's nothing left between these two sides over the last few seasons. I'm going to go Cork narrowly, but that's only genuinely, Seamus, it's only because of the home advantage down in the park.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, Limerick will travel well for that game as well. They always do. Next game up, Kilkenny versus Galway, Sunday at 1:45 live on the TG Car player and app, but then it is also deferred on the TG Car TV station itself at 4:30. Aces, if you're still watching, I'd love to get your prediction for this game. Do you think Kilkenny will make it 2 from 2, or do you think Galway might be able to strike back? Me personally, I am going for Kilkenny to make it 2 from 2. I was impressed with them against Clare. I was definitely not impressed with Galway against Tipperary. I think Donoghue has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, I'd be worried if I was a Galway hurling fan looking at that, to be honest with you. And I know we only say it's the league, but like there were so many things that weren't right with that Galway team. And you look at the form last year under Henry, it just wasn't good either. And when you look at the fact that Kilkenny seemed to be performing well, I know Dublin were only playing Antrim as well, but the momentum from Neil O'Callaghan winning the All-Ireland with the Fina as well, if Screedy comes back for Offaly, Galway need to watch their backs. They seriously do. They need to wake up now. Simple as. And this might be the game to start waking them up, because Kilkenny are their rivals, as we know over the last few years. Kilkenny probably will win.
Me though, John shocked me against Tip, and I wonder if you've seen the same as well. It shocked me how much bigger Tipperary looked than Galway, like physically bigger.
Yeah.
Like I was like, Galway are always in my head. I know it might be somewhat of just, you know, like maybe it's not true, but like I always looked at Galway as like huge in terms of like the size in their team, like the physical size in their team, like players like Gerard McInerney, Joe Canning, Johnny Glynn, Connor Cooney, like Irla Tanyan, like absolute monsters.
Yeah.
And Tip looked way bigger than them.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's down to the demeanour of the tip players. And that's the difference. Like, Liam Cahill has gone in the off-season and said, look, lads, that wasn't good enough last year. I know we'll talk about Tip in a second. I think they'll do well this year, but it looks at their performance against Galway. They have more players to come back as well. But Galway just looks so out of their depth. And at home, Seamus, in front of their home fans in Pearse Stadium as well, they looked just so poor. They looked well off it. I would be worried as a Galway fan. Thankfully for Micheál Donoghue, there's a lot of more time to recover this situation. We're in January, there's February and March now. Micheál Donoghue has to recover this situation sooner rather than later. I didn't think he'd go back into Galway and Dublin being in a better situation in Galway at this present moment in time. I genuinely believe it. Dublin seem to be on an upward trajectory in hurling. Galway are down. They simply, they look really, really poor at the moment. But then again, as I said previously, I do think if there's any game to hype this Galway team up, it's this one against Kilkenny. They have to be. They have to be on it. If they get another 10-plus point thumping off another team, I feel like Galway could have a really horrendous year, in my opinion. So it's crucial for Galway to maybe to make it a point or two game, just to put in something, to give the Galway fans something to hold on to, in my opinion. So, yeah, Galway need to pluck up and fast. I do think Kilkenny will win this game. And on a side note as well, that Tipperary game against Galway was never, a 12-point game at the end? It was something like near a 20-point game, in my opinion.
They got the 2 late goals, which made it look a lot better than it was. For long periods, Tip were streets ahead of them. So, yeah, I do think Kilkenny will win that one, and I think Tipperary will win this one against Wexford. Bad start for Wexford. You know, a lot of players missing, players like Lee Chin, Jack O'Connor, and then also the retirements of Matthew O'Hanlon, Liam McGovern, and Diarmuid O'Keefe. I can see nothing other than a comfortable Tipperary win here. Yeah, I think Tipperary will win as well. But you have to give a lot of credit to Liam Cahill, you have to say, Seamus, because this team was down in the dumps is there in the off-season. That's doing a classic Liam Cahill, though? Hammer and tongs for the league and then could drop off when the championship comes around. The thing is, though, like in the league last year, Tipperary still looked off. There was something that seriously didn't look right in Tipperary, but they seem to be on it this year. And there's youngsters in that team that seem to be tuned in, I would say. Like Garrett O'Connor looked very good the last day, I thought. Darren McCarthy is a serious addition to this team at full forward as well, and it converts the frees really, really well. I think Sam O'Farrell, I was really impressed with him the other day at number 5. I think he really ran the show over Tipperary as well. I think Tip will win this game. Wexford, if this is a situation like Galway, I genuinely think Wexford are just missing some players, and it will take time for the likes of Lee Chin to come back in and things like that. They do have potential. They've seen, like, Cian Byrne is a very good player, so is Corey Dunbar, getting the words mixed up there, but I do think Wexford have some good youngsters coming through, and if they can just gain a bit of confidence, not even win this game, just keep it within 5 points, because the game against Cork the last day, maybe you could say as well, Cork are just much better. They're just at a whole different level to Wexford, and that's probably the frank reality right now. But yeah, I think Tip will win this game eventually, but I think it'll be tighter than the Galway game. Yeah, I think a comfortable enough Tipperary win, though. Again, running through quickly. 1B, we have Antrim versus Westmeath in Belfast, Laois versus Offaly in O'Moore Park, and Carlow versus Waterford in Netwatch Cullen Park. Division 2's round 2, Derry versus Down and Ownbeg, Kildare versus Kerry in Newbridge, and Donegal versus Tyrone in Letterkenny. And then Division 3, we have Cavan versus Sligo in Breffni Park, Wicklow versus London and Ockram, and Roscommon versus Armagh in Dr. Hyde Park. In Division 4's round 2, we have Monaghan against Louth in Emmy Vale, Warwickshire against Lancashire in Park Naher in Birmingham, and then Fermanagh versus Longford in Brewster Park. So that's the Allianz Hurling League's round 2. We're going to quickly run through now the LGFA's national divisions. Division 1, round 2. There are 2 games that are going to be on the Monday on TGK on the bank holiday Monday. So I forgot. No drinking over the weekend for these players. No bank holiday night out. Waterford and Kerry Monday 3:45 at the Setu Arena live on TGK. Kerry had a flat start. They now have to travel away to Waterford. This has a tricky game written all over it. Can the Kingdom bounce back?
Yeah, I think Kerry will be confident. Even though Waterford had a good win against Kildare the first day, I have to say, like, Bree McMahon looked really good in that opening game. So did Kellyanne Hogan. And yeah, I think Waterford are in a good situation. Kate Murray's the captain, I believe, for Waterford this year. Kerry was tough opening game. The fact Louise is missing this year as well. Maybe the panel is in a bit of transition, even though Katie Cronin is staying around. I think Kerry will edge this game. I think it'll be narrowed up. I think it'll be about 2 or 3 points. But like Waterford seems to be going well at the moment. A good win over Kildare the last day out. So I think it'll be tight, but Kerry to get over the line.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go slightly for Kerry on this one. I think they still looked okay against Armagh. I just think Armagh looked very good. And I was very impressed with Armagh, how they went about that game. Meath against Mayo is also on TG4 at 2 o'clock on the Monday. Very weird reading that out. Meath against Mayo. Meath aren't the team that they used to be. There's no question about that. But are they still good enough to beat Mayo?
I think they are, yeah, especially at home. And the fact is, like Mayo, I've seen some interviews from Liam McHale in the Mayo News over the last few weeks, and apparently they've lost 11 to 14 players in the panel, including the likes of Shauna Howley's not going to be there. I think Lisa Cafferty's gone, Sinead Cafferty's gone from what I'm hearing as well. That's a serious amount of talent. It's not just
all the girls in the AFLW that would walk back into that team as well. Aileen Gilroy, Sarah Rowe. Like, you can't keep losing players like that.
Yeah, that's the thing with them. And to be fair, we talk about Meath being in regression, but at least they're keeping some of their players. Like Mary Kate Lynch is still there. I don't know, is Emma Duggan's still there? Marion Farrelly's still there as well. Yes, Vicky might be gone, but you're still keeping kind of the core of the Meath team. I know Devo Sullivan's retired over the past few seasons. I don't know where Stacey Grimes has gone to as well. But I feel like Meath have a stronger kind of core and a stronger kind of togetherness than Mayo do at this present moment in time. Like, as I listed there, the Cafferty sisters, Shauna Howley, they're not just players for Mayo. Those are standout players. And for Mayo to miss those players, it's colossal. I think Meath will win this game by about 2 or 3 on Monday.
Yeah, I agree. These next 2 games, I feel like, are quite straightforward in terms of the predictions. Armagh against Tyrone, Sunday at 2 o'clock in Lurgan. I can see nothing other than an Armagh win here in this one. They were very impressive in that opening day win against Kerry.
Yeah, I feel like Armagh will beat Tyrone comprehensively. And the fact that Tyrone only scored 2 points against Meath by the same player, Maria Canavan, I feel like Tyrone could be in for a tough league campaign. It's just not the level they're on, Seamus, and it's just unfortunate the way it's fallen.
Lose the intermediate final to a team that is in Division 4 is nuts. Yeah. Like, that's absolute, like, that's just mind-boggling. Like, you'd swear, how are they in the senior championship but in Division 4? Like, it just doesn't really make any sense whatsoever. But yeah, I do think Armagh definitely, in my opinion, look as good for an All-Ireland as I've ever seen them. Like, if Amy Mackin comes back fit, I think they're my favourites to go and win the whole thing. Kildare against Dublin then Sunday at 2 o'clock in Mangard Park. Even though Kildare looked okay against Waterford, Dublin did beat Mayo at home in Parnell Park. I can see nothing other than a Dublin victory here.
Yeah, I think Dublin will win this comprehensively as well. But Kildare, I think they'll compete better than Tyrone did in this Division 1 campaign. But I think Dublin should win comfortably.
Yeah, I'm happy enough to go with that. And then finally, the run through of all of the other games, the little LGFA Division 2 fixtures. Then we have Roscommon against Clare in Enfield, Galway against Cork in Tuam Stadium, Monaghan against Tipperary in Castleblaney, Westmeath against Donegal in Athlone. Division 3, Down against Cavan in Burren, Carlow against Offaly in the Carlow Training Centre, Limerick against Wexford and Rathkeale, Laois against Louth then in Crettyard. And finally, Division 4's round 3, Wicklow against Kilkenny in Tinahilly, Sligo against Longford in Clonakil, and Leitrim against Derry in Kiltubrid, and Fermanagh against Antrim in Tempo Maguires. And that is the full weekend preview. We've got it done inside an hour, guys. Thank you so much to Matthew for coming on for another episode. Thank you so much as well to Acers, especially, who definitely got involved in the comment section below. Guys, if you're watching this episode and it is not live, don't be afraid to drop your comments in as well. I will get around to answering them all. Go have a look at Matthew's page now. Matthew is jumping on with a live stream with Liam, of course, from Offaly. So Liam will have some potential interesting opinions on the Laois and Offaly game. I look forward to that episode, Matthew. Thanks for jumping on again. Thanks to anybody who watched or commented. Until the weekend, guys, we will be back with a weekend review episode Sunday evening at 8 o'clock. Until then, have a good weekend and take care.